Today I am with Francisco Diez, Viticulture Specialist at Perennia in Nova Scotia. Yes, they do make wine in Nova Scotia. Francisco, it's such a pleasure to have you again. Francisco, can you tell me, first of all, what is Perennia and your role within the company?
Well, Perennia is a provincial development agency in Nova Scotia with a mission to support sustainable agriculture, seafood, food and beverage sectors. In my case, I joined the company in December of 2016 to provide support to grape growers and wine producers. I provide consultancy in many different aspects, such as site selection, variety selection, vineyard management, and I work as well on applied viticulture projects for winemaking.
Francisco, you just concluded a 3-year terroir study in Nova Scotia. Can you tell us what the study is about?
Absolutely. And right now I'm in the Annapolis Valley in one of the vineyards. So just to give you a brief overview, in recent years we observed an important evolution in the Nova Scotia wine industry. The vineyard acreage increased through new vine plantations, and the wineries grow in size and in number. Moreover, Vitis vinifera varieties started to be planted in the province along with the hybrids. Although hybrids such as l'Acadie Blanc, New York Muscat, or Baco Noir are quite popular, Vitis vinifera have been increasing and becoming more popular, such as Chardonnay, Riesling, and Pinot Noir. So to support this exciting change of growth and change, we need to study to measure growing conditions to improve wine quality. So we designed the terroir study. We brought together all the components of wine growing in a holistic approach: the climate, the soil properties, the choice of grape cultivar, and the human factor. We linked all this with the final goal of producing wine expressing the terroir.
And which parameters have you measured for this study?
Well, I will mention a couple of key factors. We choose vineyard blocks located across the Annapolis Valley. We made soil pits of 1.5 meters of depth to analyze physical and chemical characteristics of the soil. This is very important because it will be the base of the plant growth. Also, we compile weather information during 3 years in this location and calculated bioclimatic indexes such as Hagelin, Winkler, or Cool Night Index. These help us to understand the weather conditions specifically for grape growing. The influence of this will provide the growth throughout the vineyard lifespan. Then when we move to the plants, we tracked all the phenological stages, starting from bud burst until harvest. Followed shoot growth and measure the water and nutrient status of the plants. This information is crucial because it gives us a good indication of how vines respond to all the conditions around. Finally, we also made analysis on grape juice to track ripening and corresponding wine. This holistic approach from a broader view allows us to understand the wine growing in the province.
And Francisco, which were the main observations?
Well, I will share 4 of the main observations. First, about soils. The study sites presented an important amount of sand. Even though this should increase drainage, some compaction issues were detected. In terms of pH, these are slightly acidic, which difficult the nutrient uptake and requires attention. Also, the use of cover crops is necessary to keep healthy soils. In terms of water management, local vineyards are not irrigated. The rainfall is throughout the growing season and sometimes it can have some limitations. In spite of that, vines didn't show signs of water stress. This was corroborated by pressure chamber and carbon delta 13. In terms of varieties, around 70% correspond to hybrids and the rest to Vitis vinifera. Hybrids showed a better adaptation to areas with more site limitations. ripening fruit earlier, while the vinifera ones requires more suitable conditions and the ripening period is longer. Both varieties reach good sugar levels, 17 to 21 Brix, pHs between 2.9 and 3.4, and no pyrrazines or green notes in the wines. In terms of wine, naturally the sugar and the pH are low, which creates ideal conditions for sparkling wine production. The conditions and the vineyard management practices allow production of high-end still wines with elegant aromas and potential to age, or young wines with bright freshness.
And why is it important to do this study?
Well, as Professor Van Leeuwen said, science usually comes later to explain the reasons. So the results of this study threw light to both growers and winemakers. We learned characteristics of the soil, climate, and adaptation of grapes. Nova Scotia is not the exception to climate change. The shift the last 20 years has allowed new varieties to be planted. Measuring parameters and understanding their interactions, it's important for these new varieties to express the typicity or terroir from the place. What has been very important was the connection between grape growing and final wine. We need to adapt ourselves to changing conditions in the environment, work carefully to make the best use of our resources, and produce the best possible wine coming from this terroir.
And how can the growers use this information?
The study showed how to shape the wine starting from the vineyard. The holistic approach of soil, climate, grapes, and the human factor as interpreter allowed the final wine to have its identity from the vineyard. This process has been applied in other wine regions as well, and cool climates are not the exception. We are sharing the knowledge gained by this study around the industry, both wine with the grape growers and wineries. We create resources and share them on our blog in a continuous way. We also host workshops and best practices sessions in collaboration with Grape Growers Association of Nova Scotia.
And Francisco, if I want to learn more about this study, where can I read about it?
Well, we publish all our findings on an open access scientific paper. We will provide you a link if you are interested to read it.